Hello, everyone. This is Mr. Kissinger at the Citizenship Academy in Syracuse, New York. Today, we're going to be doing Ready Lesson 26 for fourth grade on perimeter and area. So, we're going to look a little bit at perimeter at first here. It says, you have learned that you can find the perimeter of a rectangle by adding the lengths of the sides. Take a look at this problem below here. Marissa has 64 feet of fencing. She is using the fencing to border a rectangular flower garden. Marissa wants the length of the garden to be 20 feet. She uses all the fencing. What will the width of the width of the rectangular garden be? So we have 20 feet on one side. So like right here, we have 20 feet. And then we're going to assume this other side here is 20 feet. So I'll put it at 20. And then we want to figure out how many feet this is here. This will be the same on the other side. So to solve the problem, do you use perimeter or area? Explain how you know. So when we're finding a perimeter, we're looking for the distance of all the sides added together. When we are doing an area problem, we're trying to find the amount of space that's inside of a shape. So if we are looking at the edges, we're looking at these sides here, and we're talking about length, we know that we're going to be using perimeter. So I'm going to write here, we will use perimeter. Because we know the total length around the garden. All right, so how do you find the perimeter of a rectangle? So we're going to find a perimeter by adding all the sides together. Add all the sides. And how much fencing is there in all? Well, Marissa has 64 feet of fencing. What is the length of the garden? And how many sides of this length does the garden have? What is the total length of these sides? So we have the length, which is right here. The length is, all right, so what's the length of the garden? That is 20 feet. How many sides does sides of this length does the garden have? As 2 sides. This side here, and then the other side will be 20. And then what's the total length of the side of those sides? Well, 20 plus 20 is 40. That'll give us a lot of room to write here. So that says 20 feet, 2 sides, 40 feet. How much fencing is left to make the other 2 sides? Explain how to find this length. So we have 64 altogether. And then we need to subtract how much we've used so far. So we've used 2 sides that are 20. We've used 40 feet. So we're going to subtract 40. And if we subtract 40 from 64, we'll get 24 feet left over. So if we have 24 feet of fencing left over, and we have this side and this side left that we need to figure out. How can we figure out how much fencing we're going to use on each one of those sides? So here we subtracted the total, or subtracted the length of the two known sides from the total. So explain how you can find the length of the other two sides of the rectangle. Well, we'll need to, if it's a rectangle, we know this side and this side, this side and this side are going to be the same length. So if we're going to split that 24 feet we have left over, the leftover fencing, into two equal groups, what operation are we going to use? We're going to use division. Division is splitting a total into equal groups, and we know that we have two sides that we need to split that leftover up into. So we divide the remaining fence, or the remaining fencing, two. And so if we're going to, I'm sure if we're going to do that on the next page here, I think it is. So we'll continue over here. So let's take a look at our next page here. It says rectangles have length and width. So yeah, these are the lengths, and then the width are the other side. So to find the perimeter of a rectangle, you can add the sides in any order. Perimeter equals length plus length plus width plus width. Since the opposite sides of a rectangle are the same length, you can rewrite the equation as perimeter equals 2 times length plus 2 times width. Use P to stand for perimeter, L to stand for length, and W to stand for width. The equation above is called the perimeter formula. Here is how to solve the problem from the previous page using the formula. So we took 64, because we know that was all of our sides added together, that's our perimeter, equals 2 times 20, 2 times our length, plus 2 times W, 2 times our width. We know that 2 times 20 is 40, so 6 equals 40 plus 2 times W. Now subtract 64 minus 40 is 24. With 24 feet of fencing left, the width of the rectangle must be 24 divided by 2, which is what we did here previously. We took our leftover fencing and we divided by 2, and we get 12 feet. Later in the lesson, you will solve problems about area. So let's do this reflect thing on the bottom here. It says the perimeter of a rectangular poster is 14 feet and the length is 4 feet. Describe how you use the perimeter formula to find the width. So the rectangular poster, the perimeter is 14 feet and the length is 4. How can we find the width? So let's plug that into our perimeter formula. So our perimeter is 14. And then we have our length is 4 feet. 2 times 4 plus 2 times W. So the same as what we're doing up here. So what's 2 times 4? Well, 2 times 4 is 8. So 14 equals 8 plus 2 times W. And then we can subtract 8. Subtract 8 and subtract 8. And 14 minus 8 is 6. So we know that 6 equals 2 times W. Well, if 6 is 2 times W, then how can we find what W is? If we divide by 2, we can divide our 6 by 2. Equals 3. So W equals 3. So we're going to try to figure out first what our leftover length is, or our leftover amount is of our perimeter after we subtract our two lengths. And we're going to find what our two widths are together. Then when you find the amount of those two widths, then we can divide by 2 to find the length of just one side. Right. And I think that is all we were going to do for today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and look forward to seeing you next time.